god, this bed is so squeaky. So today I'm going to be talking about my degree. Obviously I film a lot of my university kind of life, I guess, on this channel, but I've never actually spoken about what I study. I did film a video like this like 2 years ago when I did my first degree, or started my first degree, but obviously I don't study psychology anymore, so that video is kind of irrelevant, so I put it private. But yeah, I thought I'd film an updated one, maybe for those who are interested in studying education studies at uni or coming to Bath Spa or anything like that. So yeah, I'm going to get into it. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and let's get started. So obviously, as I just mentioned, I did start one degree, dropped out during my second year and came back and started this one. But my first degree was basically, I majored in psychology and minored in education studies. So in my first year, like from 2017 to 2018, I did do one module called Education for Change, which I think is they still do the module at Bath Spa, but when I started uni anyway, we had 3 terms, but we did the same 4 modules over those 3 terms. But now, so sort of starting from September 2018, Bath Spa changed to semesters. So now we have 6 modules, but we do 3 each semester. So yeah, as I said, first year I did Education for Change. I can't really remember the assessments that well, to be honest. I remember we had to do like a sort of group presentation and I think probably an essay. And there might have been 3 assignments actually, obviously, because we did it over 3 terms. As I said, I can't quite remember that far back. But as I said, the first thing I did with education studies was Education for Change, which is just basically looking at, like, it was very basic, but it was kind of looking at how the education system has changed over the past few years, like sort of issues that come up in education, like sort of how different students from different backgrounds and like sort of ethnicities and stuff cope well in the education system. So yeah, that's kind of what that covered really. As I said, it was the core module, so it was very basic. But obviously I came back to uni in September just gone, so September 2019, and started my second year just doing education studies, single honours, because I enjoyed that more than psychology. So as I said, so in second year, I've obviously changed my degree. So the first semester, which obviously went from about October to like January, was I had 3 modules. So the first one was literacy learning in a multimedia world. This was definitely my favourite module by far that I've done, probably in my whole like career of education. Like yeah, so this module was basically about how things are kind of written online, like written in the education system, and like how sort of the outside world influences the things that like children learn. So yeah, we did a lot of things on like it's weird trying to think back to that now because I'm learning stuff at the moment, but yeah, we looked at social media, we looked at sort of exams and how that's changed, and sort of how even like being trained to be a teacher's changed, because my lecturer in that, she used to be a primary school teacher, but obviously worked her out to be a lecturer, but I think her speciality is sort of English, sort of literature kind of thing. So yeah, we had 2 assignments in this. The first one was like an online article which had to be 1,000 words. So you could basically do it on anything to do with like the media and education. So my one was called, oh my god, what did I even write it about? Yeah, that's so bad. I just remembered my article was actually about how YouTube influences education. Like, how did I forget that? That's literally what I do as a daily basis as my hobby. But anyway, yeah, so I think my article, I'll link it down below anyway, like I don't know if you can still read it, but it was basically is YouTube education the future for classrooms, or it was something along those lines. So I talked about study YouTubers, I talked about the YouTube education channel and things like that. So yeah, we basically had to write an article on Google Sites, and then we could attach the analytics to it to see who's reading it, like how long people are reading it for, and yeah, as I said, you could share it with your friends and family so they could read it and comment on it. And obviously, as I do this as my hobby, like I found it so interesting because I can never really look at the analytics of YouTube and stuff. So yeah, and then we also had to do 1,000 words on like the analytics and the impact the article had, and like why you wrote about that sort of topic. So yeah, I was really happy with my grade in that. I think that was one of the highest grades I've got overall. So yeah, that was obviously the first article. So it's weird, we wrote the article like sort of November time, but we had to have it live for about a month. So we had it live from like mid-November to about sort of January time. Then we had to obviously write up about the impact and stuff after that. And then sort of in the meantime, the second assignment was an interactive digital resource for children. So in this was really fun as well. We actually looked at so many different kids' books, and we basically had to make some sort of resource. It didn't have to be a story, it could be something like informative, about sort of something that could help children, or like something that's, it was basically the children had to learn something from it, but it had to be interactive. So you could use other things, but everyone pretty much used PowerPoint, and mine was basically based on We're Going on a Bear Hunt, because that's literally one of my favourite stories as a kid. So mine was based on that, but I called it We're Going on a Homework Hunt. So it was about the child like sort of looking online for good internet resources and things like that. I really enjoyed making it, again, because it's like editing and stuff like that. It was so, like, that module was so creative, I absolutely loved it. So yeah, again, we had to write up, do we have to write up about that? Yeah, I think, again, we had to write about like why we chose the colour schemes, like what words we chose and things like that. So sort of in those seminars we were looking at semiotics and that kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed that module. Next thing, the core module for the first semester was Issues in Education. So the first assignment we had to do was an essay comparing two different schools, or you could either compare schools in different countries, like schools in England, or compare something else. But I just compared two schools in England. So we basically used the government website. Anyone can access it, and we just basically had to compare their Ofsted reports and like say why their reports might differ and things like that. So it was a little bit dull, but like I feel like it was a good thing to sort of learn if you want to be a teacher or like are interested in working in school. The second assignment we had for that was another essay, and you had to basically choose like out of 3 questions. It was about 2,500 words. It was I chose, can education compensate for social disadvantage? So a lot of our lectures were about that kind of thing, like sort of societal issues in education, how they impact it. Yeah, as I said, that module was a bit, I think because it was the core module, it was very kind of vague and not really that kind of interesting. But as I said, it's an important thing to like learn about. It was very sociological, I'd say that now. So yeah, that was the core module. Other module we did in first semester, well, as I said, the Issues in Education, that was of course you have to do that. You could obviously choose out of the other ones, but the one I chose to do, but they said it was required if you're an education studies student, was Global and International Development in Education. So the first assignment we had was an essay, and it was about the No, it was about the Sustainable Development Goals, but the ones before it were the Millennium Development Goals, which were created by the UN. So yeah, it was like, I think, was it a 3,000 word essay? It was quite a long one, I remember. So all of our seminars and that were all kind of based on sort of poverty and, like, as I said, world development, which I actually did an AS in world development, so that knowledge really did help me kind of understand the theories. And then the second assignment was a group presentation. Well, it was a group seminar, so we were in big groups. I was in a group of 6, and it had to last 45 minutes. But as I said, it was more like a seminar, so you had to kind of teach the class and like give the class activities and things. So ours was about Zambia and how their education system's like improved and stuff, or if the sort of, what was the policy? It was basically like it has like specific policies. It was how like bilateral and multilateral aid has like impacted Zambia and its education system. That's what it was about. That was definitely probably the hardest one, I would say, out of those 3 modules that I did. But as I said, I did learn a lot from it. And I think, again, in third year, we do have another module on international development. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that's all about. But something to know with education studies at my uni anyway, we only have 1 lecture a week. The rest of my things all split up into seminars. So, for literacy learning, we had 2 seminars a week, both 2 hours long. I think they were on like a Monday and a Tuesday, maybe. As I said, that like the first semester was like a different timetable this semester. Yeah, so as we had 2 hours long. To be fair, the lectures made them last about 2 hours. So, and like before each seminar, we'd have like sort of pre-prepared readings for us to do so we could discuss it in class. And then for Issues in Education, we had, well, at Barcelona anyway, like sort of all the people that do some form of education. Obviously, I do education studies, but you can do early childhood studies. You can do primary pathway, secondary pathway. So anyone that's in the like education kind of school, everyone has a core lecture on a Wednesday, which they sort of, so I think, as I said, everyone does issues in education, so you all kind of sit in the big lecture hall and learn about that. It's about an hour long, but you have another hour after about maybe, could be from the library, it might be a talk from the library about like, I don't know, maybe referencing or something like that. So as of the first hour is always like actual lecture content, the second hour is usually like something that's not that relevant, but you just kind of stick around anyway. For global and international development, Again, we had 2 seminars a week, both 2 hours long. As I said, because it was nice, there were seminars, like, you do sort of have more chance to discuss things rather than in a lecture where you just sat there just listening to a teacher, which I found quite dull. So I definitely prefer this about my course, was that it's all in seminars, so as I said, you can kind of interact with it more, you can ask your teachers more questions more easily. Yeah, so that's kind of the structure of my course. I can talk about second semester a bit better because I'm kind of living through it right now, even though we're in very weird circumstances. But anyway, so this semester, the core module is professional practice in education, or if you're on a teaching pathway, it would be professional practice in classrooms, I think. So if you're basically doing primary teaching or secondary teaching, you'd have to go to a school. But obviously, while I do education and studies, you don't have to go into a school for it. You can request to like go to a museum or maybe go to a prison and do rehabilitation, but it is a bit harder to get your placement that way because obviously the uni has links with like primary schools, so it's a lot easier to do it that way. That's what I did. My placement was in a primary school. I can't talk about it much on social media, so I'm just going to leave that there. But for this module, we have a 5,000 word assignment. That's the only one thing for the whole module. That's the last assignment that's due of the year, but it's split into like 4 parts. So the first part is like why you want to be an educator. The second part is like all about your school or like your placement where you're working, and then the third bit, I don't really know what the third bit is about yet because I haven't started it, but and then the last bit is kind of your reflection and like how it's going to influence your work in the future. So I think that's actually quite a good module. As I said, even though I feel like teaching's not really for me, it was really beneficial to go into a school and just see how it like runs and stuff. But yeah, I do really think more university courses should kind of provide like a work placement module. I don't know, it's just my personal opinion. But anyway, the second module I do this semester is Youth in Society, Power Politics and Participation. It's 2 assignments. The first one is a 1,000 word manifesto. This is what I'm working on at the moment. I need to hand it in quite soon. So you basically obviously take whatever political viewpoint you want to. It doesn't have to be the one you actually agree with, you can literally choose anything. And then you have to like kind of go sort of more of a community level and say what you want to improve in like your constituency. So I definitely feel like this module I've learned so much from. Like I actually understand how the politics system works in the UK now. Like I'm literally 21, I've only just learned how it all works. And my teacher is so enthusiastic. The only issue I had with this module was that basically when obviously we started our second semester like in the middle of February, so we had quite a short Christmas and came back for our January deadlines and then had like a 3-week break in February, and then obviously we came back and all the strikes were happening. So from like February to about March for this module, we were at uni for about maybe 6 weeks. I only had 2 seminars in those whole 6 weeks for this module, so yeah, that was really not good at all. But it's fine, like she has sort of been catching us up with work and stuff, which is good. But yeah, where was I? So as we're working on a 1,000 word manifesto, like if we were still at uni, we would be like speaking it to the class and they could ask questions, but obviously we can't do that, so we're just writing it up instead. And then the second assignment is a community investment fund application, which is 3,000 words. I'm not entirely sure how this works, but it's basically you're applying to get funding for something you want to improve in your local community. So that could be, I don't know, maybe health services, or like, what else could it be? Like youth clubs or something like that. So basically, as I said, it's quite political, but it's more a political stance on like improving like the life of youth in your area. So yeah, it's quite, as I said, it's very different from what I've learnt before. My teacher is so like enthusiastic, so she's definitely made the module. I said it could be quite a hard module to fill if you had a bad teacher, but she's really good. So the last one I do for this semester is Sociology of Education module. I have one essay, which is what I've just handed in, and it's a critique of educational policy with sociological theory. So I'm focusing on the national curriculum because that is a policy which all schools have to like implement, and I'm criticising it with functionalism, because I would like something that's really like I'm really passionate about, is about sort of putting mental health into the curriculum. So I'm kind of saying from a functionalist point of view, I believe like it could be really beneficial for society because like everyone could like, it would increase morality and like social solidarity. So yeah, that was 2,500 words. The next assignment we've got is a group presentation and write up, which I'm not entirely sure how that's working when we're not at uni, but we will see. And this is about how an educational issue should be dealt with. So to be honest, you could probably use the same idea from the first essay if you wanted to, but obviously if you're working in groups you have to decide it together. So yeah, those are all the assignments. Again, optional practice, we had one lecture a week on a Wednesday. Again, obviously all education students did that, whatever degree you were kind of doing. And then we had a seminar like once a week, which was 2 hours. And then for youth in like the politics module and the sociology module, we had 2 seminars a week, which were both 2 hours long for each module. So yeah, definitely education studies, there's a lot of contact hours, but I personally prefer that. As I said, because it's seminars, you get so much more help with your work, and it's really nice to have like discussions with your course mates and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of my degree. As I said, I can't really speak on like first year because I only did 1 module in it, but as I said, this is kind of my second year of it, and to be honest, I'm really enjoying it. As you can tell, there's no exams, so it's so much less pressure to get stuff done. And yeah, as I said, probably my 2 favourite modules are the literacy learning and multimedia world, and the like politics module, because I just feel like I've actually learned so much, which will help me in the future. Because also obviously like you get so many questions doing education studies, you're like, oh, so you want to be a teacher? I'm like, no. And as I said, from my placement, I definitely don't want to be a teacher. But like you can do so many things with education. You can go into like, obviously you can go into sort of politics with it if you wanted to. You could go into charity work. As I said, you learn so many different skills from it. As I said, like we did actually have one lecture on careers, and she asked us, like when we were standing up, she was like, right, put your hands up if you want to be a teacher, and literally only half the room put their hands up. So like, as I said, you do get this preconception that you're doing education studies because you want to be a teacher, but that's really not the case. Like I would say I would really like pick this degree, like if you're interested in like education but you don't know what you want to do with it, like education studies is a really good place to start, as like you just get exposed to so many different things in it. And I did ask on Instagram if there was any questions about my degree or anything. Like obviously the main one usually is like, what do you want to do if you don't want to be a teacher? Like, oh my god, the question every undergraduate dreads. But yeah, so I got asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm hoping I've like found a job I actually like and want to do, like maybe not for the rest of my life, but like I really kind of want to be on my sort of career path by that point, because I'll be 26 by then, which is scary. But yeah, as I said, I would like to be in a job that I enjoy. As I said, I have looked at grad schemes. I think that's what I will be doing after uni, because as I said, I like learning and stuff, but I just feel like I'm bored of essays. Like I just want to get on and work and earn money. So yeah, hopefully I'll be on a graduate scheme, maybe in London, living my life there. It would be nice to have met someone by then. Like I don't know. But yeah, as I said, I definitely in 5 years I want to sort of know where my career is going, because at this point in time I literally don't know what I want to do. Obviously I love social media and things, but I just feel like it doesn't really always challenge me. But I do like the creative side and stuff. But as I've said before, I am an ambassador for Fika, which is an emotional fitness app, and I really enjoy doing my work with them. As I said, I get to do like stands and stuff at uni. I talk to so many people. I've been up to London with them, and I went to like a think tank, which I think when I did that, it kind of made me realise I do want to work in London. I just felt so inspired when I was up there. So yeah, hopefully 5 years time I'll have a job in London that I really like. That's kind of the aim. But yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. I feel like it's really long and rambly. But yeah, if you've got any other questions about an education studies degree, please let me know. So yeah, as I said, you only get placement in second year. You don't have placement in first or third year. But if you were doing, say, a primary teaching pathway, you would have placement all 3 years, I think. And also with my degree, you don't get qualified teaching status either. So it's literally just an undergraduate degree. It's a BA it's a Bachelor of Arts honours. And yeah, I do think other universities do it, but it's hard to find. But like Bath was one of the first unis to like kind of make it a degree, because before that it was either just be like trained to be a teacher or doing a different degree. Whereas obviously education studies, you're learning about like schools and stuff, but you're not tied into being a teacher. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you soon. Bye.